Okay. All right. Well, welcome back to Modern Agent Blueprint. We are so excited because we have Marisa back again, and this time she brought Brooke. And they're going to be talking about systems and getting everything kind of ready to go back to school. We're back to getting our businesses back in order. Although I don't know about most of you, but I didn't take off a single second this summer. So I know it's been a kind of a crazy, weird summer, but we are excited to have Brooke this time and Marisa back again. So I'm going to really just turn it right on over to you girls.
Okay, perfect. We'll share our screen real quick here and get started. Let's see. Okay, can everyone see that okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, and we can still see you, so perfect. Okay, so we put together a little back to school, which we wanted to also preface the fact that we don't have kids, right? So when we talked to Nicole and Julie and Nikki about doing this topic, we're like, this feels a little off. Like, we're all about it because we're the calendar girls, right? We're the organized ones. We can give everyone all of those systems tips, all the hacks for we don't have kids.
No.
But we do have insane social calendars, to be totally honest, which is like a weird but similar comparison, right? To say with the kids, because kids have sports that they're in, you're running them around 17 times a day. You have schedules in the morning you have to stick to and get them up and whatever, right? Well, we've got partners, we've got friends, we've got lots of other clients that we're serving. So it's very similar traits in your calendar management organization. So that's what we're going to be focusing on today, is staying organized, being highly intentional with your time. Because that's one thing that people will always ask us. They'll be like, how in the heck are you doing all of this? We see you traveling, you're doing this and this, you're still selling real estate, you're helping all these clients now. Like, how are you doing it? And so, no, we don't have kids, but we do. I added this little quote. I don't even know where or when I found this, but it's something that I believe more than anything, that if you wanted to, you would, right? So whether it's the kids, it's your business, it's taking on a new or different client, a new different adventure, because that's something big in our real estate world too, right? To hit our goals and accomplish what all we're trying to accomplish, and the family experience that we want to have, and how we want to raise and be able to provide for our families, we have to do it all. And we usually need multiple lines of income. And so it's, how do we balance it? What does that calendar look like? What are different tips and things that we do to keep organized and say yes to everything? We just live by the motto. We've got a couple mottos that we'll share with you, but we live by the motto, if you wanted to, you would. And so you just make it happen. We say yes and we figure it out, which I think that was one that I shared last time I was here, is you say yes and figure it out. You make it happen. And if you don't know, go find someone that's got the resources or that has walked the path and have them help you, have them show you. Join on masterminds like this. There's so many free masterminds and resources out there, and communities that are helping each other. And that's just how you make it happen. So say yes, figure it out, and just prioritize. So we today are going to share. Did you want to share anything else about our intro? Sorry, I just kind of plowed right through that.
No, I think you're good. Yeah, mainly the whole point is we don't have kids, but for example, you've had what, 5 weddings in the past 2 months. And
Here we go. We're almost there.
I mean, I'm super religious about spending time with my friends and making sure that they feel super included in my life, no matter how busy I get. So I think overall, we just stay super busy with our social lives, plan trips. We never say no. And it's kind of equivalent to people that have kids in a way. It's only going to get worse.
Same but different, right?
Same but different.
So with all that being said, we're going to be sharing and focusing on our little tips to stay organized, but we definitely want this to be collaborative. So if you guys have questions at any times, because we don't know what you don't know. So we have lots of different tips and tricks, but if you're like, hey, I have a question about that, I have more, please just unmute, because I think they could do that, right, Nicole? You don't have anything blocked on this. Yeah. Okay. So just unmute, stop us, ask a question, because we want to go as deep as you want to. Otherwise, we can keep things higher level, because we don't know if it's too simple, if it's not. So we have lots of tips and tricks to share with you guys today. The first of them being just a high level how to look at your day, right? All the high level things that we want to make sure that we're touching to be able to accomplish all of it. So if you separate your day into 3 chunks and then you think about organizing them within these 3 timelines, and we definitely did it with school year in mind. And we did some research. We talked to friends. We've got friends with kids, right? So figuring out like the common drop-off times, the common pickup times, and being mindful of that. So if you haven't been super consistent with your calendar or your business so far over the summer, things were hectic. You had the kids, maybe you've got 2, 3, 4 kids, even just 1 kid at home, and it just didn't happen, right? Business took a dip this last summer, but they're back. We're ready to get back to it. Here is the simplest place to start is just think about then that 9 to 3. Don't even stress so much about the before or after, but just whatever that time is from my kids are gone, they're off at school to when do I need to pick them up? That's when you want to just focus on that, right? So we broke it up into the chunks around it. So before 9 a.m., which we found was the average for drop-off times, before 9 a.m., think about that morning routine. And there's 3 big things that you want that morning routine to contain to make sure that you're setting your whole day up for success and you're growing. The thing that changed my life 4 or 5 years ago now was really focusing on my morning routine. And maybe you're one that's more of that evening owl. That's fine. You could almost flip these things or do them in the evening after the kids go to bed. Doesn't matter so much exactly when you're doing it, but that you're having these pieces throughout your day, right? So my morning, I used to be in the serving world when I was getting into real estate. And so I would be up till 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I wasn't getting up until noon most days. Well, that's not really a recipe for success. So I started getting up earlier and earlier, and I just weaned myself to that timeline. I'm sure as you guys have kids, depending on however old they are, you're probably up pretty dang early. So maximize that time in the morning. And if you need to wean yourself there. Don't start with these things and switch all of it overnight. Start with 1 or 2 at a time, or again, just focus on that 9 to 3. But we wanted to make sure we touched on the morning routine too, because that is the goal, is to be able to have all 3 of these aspects. So the before 9 a.m., we broke it into the 3 things here. So taking care of your brain, which can be anything from reading, meditating, jumping on a role play call, jumping on a call like this, or watching a recording on something like this, podcast, audiobook, doesn't matter. Do something, have a coffee, have a glass of cold water, whatever you need to do to take care of your brain and sharpen your tools for the whole rest of the day. Whatever that looks like, you need to take care of you, or you're not showing up for your kids and your family and your business. So you need, however long it is, even if it's 5-10 minutes, take a minute for yourself every single morning and take care of your brain. Then you want to do something for your body, because coffee ain't it, sister. And that's me too. I don't even have kids yet. So say a prayer for me when that day comes. But I know that coffee is not the only thing our bodies need in the morning. So whether it's getting that glass of cold water, moving, doing a stretch, Brooke loves to go on walks, which I'll let her share her couple of suggestions for this too. But whatever it is, do something for your body in the morning. Because again, if you're not taking care of you, you can't show up for your kids and your family and your business. So we've got to have at least those couple things that we're hitting in the mornings to set ourselves up for the day. And then we know that there is a level of taking care of the kids, right? No matter what age they are, we probably got to make sure that they get up, get into whatever school ready that looks like. Again, we can't relate to this part, but there's some sort of getting the kids ready for the day and then get them the heck out so then you can switch on and show up for your business. So Brooke, what were your suggestions for brain, body, kids?
Yeah, so mine looks similar but different. Like Marisa loves to read. I can't stand to read a book. It's just never going to be me. But like I wake up and I like to know that sometimes my evenings don't always look how I want them to. I don't always get the time to relax or just have me time. And I'm a big like show person. I like to watch TV. So I personally like will wake up early sometimes, have my coffee, watch an episode of my show. So I know I get that piece of my day in. And then a walk is a necessity for me every day. I have to go on a walk, especially if it's nice outside. I need to be outside, get some sun. Like I was joking with Nikki last night, we were going back and forth. Like that's my time to think about the most randomest things and like actually not feel like I have to focus on all the little things that I have to get done. I can think about random things and why grass grows, right? So it's stupid, but it's important to me. And then other than that, like I get those things out of the way so then I'm ready to, if I need to, my day can kind of get a little out of whack. So that way I know in the morning, all of the things that I wanted to get done for myself are already done before I have to start work.
The three of you ladies, I know you guys all have kids. What would you recommend? Because this is, again, the part we can't quite relate to. So you've been there, done that. You've had the kids, you're running businesses, you still have kids at home, and most of you, I think. And what does that look like? Can you add or maybe speak to some tips on that front, that morning routine, how important it is to just even take that minute for yourself? What would you guys recommend?
I mean, so I used to do this and I really got away from it. And I think, the more I think about it, the more I realize I really need to get back to it. I had like a gratitude journal, and every morning I would get up, write in the gratitude journal. And then I did it was a lot of like manifestation stuff. And so I would listen to like an Abram Hicks YouTube and like listen to that, or listen to a podcast or something. And I really got away from doing that. And I don't know why. I think just one day I just didn't do it. And then all of a sudden, it's like 6 months and you haven't done it. So I think that really did make a difference. And I took the entire summer unintentionally off of going to the gym. And I really need to make that more part of my day again. So my routine used to be drop my son off at school, go to the gym. I start my day around 10, which is probably not ideal, but at least I got my stuff in that I needed to. And I am the night owl. I cannot get up early. I stay up. Last night I was up till 2 a.m. Again, kind of unintentionally, but I was working on stuff. I wanted to get it done. And then, so I end up staying up really late. So my day kind of starts after I drop my son off. He gets dropped off at 8. He's got to be picked up at 3. So I have that time, that window in between. And then my nights are still, I still am working, showings, all that stuff. And then it goes into, feeding the kids. And then, my laptop comes back out. I actually texted with an agent last night. She was like, oh my God, it's 9:30 and I'm finally sitting down for myself. And I'm like, that's funny. I literally just opened up my computer again. So I'm back to working again. And I worked from 9:30 until almost 2 a.m. again. So, I think with real estate, I think we can all relate to this. Our schedules are completely dependent on our clients. So half the time I spend the day in the car or on appointments doing whatever it is I'm doing. And then my evening is spent catching up on the things that I missed because I was on the road all day. So it's hard. I have found that, and I'm sure other people can relate. It's very hard to find that balance because I am spending my evenings on my computer when I want to be present for the family and present for my kids and or whatever I'm doing. I find it really hard to find that time. And Brooke, you're saying like you want to be really present with your friends. I have the hardest time finding times to be around my friends because if they're not in real estate, they don't get it. And it's really hard to make that time. Even with my boyfriend, it's really hard to find quality time when I'm running back and forth. And I really try to make Sundays a family day or like a no appointment day. And 90% of the time, it never works out that way. There's always somebody who needs to see something, one person who needs to get in. And I have been very burnt out lately and trying to figure out what it is I could take off my plate. Thankfully, I have Brooke and Marisa on my side here, but what can I take off my plate that is preventing me from being able to have that time?
Somebody needs a buyer's agent.
I do, but like, that's the hard part, right? Like
Giving
how
up
many of us
money. I know.
say we want a buyer's agent, but then you're giving up your commission. This is my head. Okay. So that you're giving up your part of your commission. Who can I find who's going to be trustworthy and available? Like that's the problem, because a lot of the agents you hire want to do their own business. And even if they're brand spanking new, a lot of them don't. What I have found is a lot of brand new agents don't necessarily want to do all that. They want to focus on their own stuff. And so they're not available for that. And even when I have a team of agents, they're busy doing their own work. They have their own families. They have their own commitments. So this is my struggle. So if somebody has a plan for that or an idea, or Marisa, if you have a system for that, that would be wonderful. But that's where my head is. Like
you're talking about, Nicole, is exactly like the pain we have felt and that we're going to talk about and address some suggestions for. But I will say, get your butt back in the gym and do your motivations in the morning again, because that, I don't know why.
Yes, celebrate
Every
it.
time. I love
You're doing it.
I don't, and then I get thumbs up sometimes too that come up. I don't know why. I've never seen it happen to anyone else but me, but it's fine. Anyways, we're gonna address those things, but I notice when even, and this is me personally, but I've noticed in a few other people too, that when you're doing all of those things consistently, your business also just grows. Like it truly does. If you're making the time for it, and what's our motto? If you wanted to, you would, right? So you just haven't wanted to, and that's fine. It's okay to just admit that and say that. But if you want to, make it happen, make it a priority and just do it. Like start doing it. And that will be the same thing. And we're just going to keep doubling down on the, if you wanted to, you would, with all the different tips we give you guys today, because it's never easy. Like none of this is easy. Fitting it all in isn't convenient. And Brooke and I, when we were prepping for this, we were saying like, of course, and clients will come to us all the time and they'll be like, well, I wish I could just do this, 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 and this, and this. Well, yeah, the people, like the lifestyle you're looking to attain, like that's hard. And everyone would have those things, which is like the cliche people talk about all the time, right? But like, if we all could just be millionaires, like we would, right? And if we could all be billionaires, we would, but like, it's hard. That path is hard. You have to make sacrifices. You have to be hyper intentional. So just, if you wanted to, you would. Before we move on from this, Julie or Nikki, did you have anything else to add or like suggestions for that morning routine or anything from your guys' experience with the kid life?
I try not to open my email until after I drop her off because I get
love
very sidetracked and then it just ruins my whole morning.
Yeah, I love that tip.
So I never did real estate when my kids were young. I mean, I got into it in 2016. So, I mean, my daughter was kind of still in middle school, but I don't even remember what that's like because right now I'm basically an empty nester. My kids are all adults. But what I will say is like busy people get stuff done. Like if, you know, sometimes when you're like, well, I don't have all that running around at night. I don't have to pick up my kids at school. I don't have to make them dinner. You tend to slack off a little bit and then your schedule goes away. Right. So this sounds
That's
weird,
so
but like, I think Nicole knows I love pickleball and like, I make that like my get shit done stuff because that will force me to get the things done, not picking up kids from school, but like, if I don't get this done, I can't go. You know what I mean? And like, I like to go at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So like, if my stuff's not done, I can't go. So I just would say, as tough as it seems to be doing real estate with kids, I think it's actually a blessing to keep you organized because you have to get it done.
Yeah.
You know, you just,
I
there's
had
no
an
other way.
even-
You have to be organized, or if you want to be successful enough, you don't, you know, if you're just coasting along, that's one thing. But if you have goals, it's better to have a tight schedule.
Even when I worked real estate, like, so when and I know we're going way off topic here and I'm sorry that we're probably going to drag on here, but there's a lot of people who are doing real estate part-time and they struggle, but I did that. I wouldn't even call it part-time. I said I worked 2 full-time jobs. I worked at a dentist office and I worked real estate. So my day was get up. I didn't even live in Ann Arbor. I lived in Plymouth at the time, which is 25 minutes from where my kids went to school and my job was. So I get up early, take the kids to school, go to my dentist office, work all day, then come pick the kids up, then real estate started. And then I worked on real estate all night long. And people would be like, how are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. You just have to get it done. There's no option. It's not, no is not an option, or not doing is not an option. I'm going to make this work. So, you know, when you're busting your butt, you just figure it out. And I think it's the same thing when I get back into that workout routine and I get into that routine of doing it, my day doesn't die because I don't start until 10. You know, like I can be on my Zoom calls. I can answer emails when I'm on the treadmill. I can do that stuff when I'm at the gym for the most part, but I really like to choose to turn it off so I can focus on me in that time. And then my day I still get everything done. I'm just choosing to, instead of starting with whatever I'm doing or coming home and sitting on yesterday I came home and sat on my couch for an hour and a half scrolling instead of like doing what I should have done. So, you know, it's also getting back in this morning routine, but I think it's super important to figure out what is important to you. Maybe it is pickleball or going to the gym in the evening, or maybe it's, you know, family dinner every single night. You want to make dinner, you want to do these things. You have to make those points the important things and everything else can work around what you're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys know what Parkinson's law is? Have you heard of that before?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so that's like the exact thing you just described, Nicole. So things will fill, and I'm totally gonna like botch the actual definition of it, but it's basically that things will fill the space and time that you give it. So, and that's what you were speaking to too, Julie, that like, if I have 12 things on my to-do list today, if I had all day to do it, I'm gonna take all day to do it. But if I have until 3 because I have pickleball, I'm magically now going to get those 12 things done by 2, so then I can get ready and go enjoy my pickleball day. And so like it fills the time you give it. You just make it happen. So if you're the mom, you have another job, maybe you're a single parent, like it doesn't matter. Everyone's got stuff, maybe, and it can be as simple as wanting to do pickleball, wanting to go out with your girlfriends. Like they don't all have to be needs or back to the wall. We can have wants too, and you should have wants too. And the answer is yes. Say yes to all of it, because it will just consume the time that we give it. So we might as well fill our calendars, be really intentional, and then we're balanced, we're happier, our business is better, our lives are better, because then we're also showing up better for our friends, our family, and our business. So that's really like the main point we wanted to make sure that we get across from all this. So thank you guys for that additional feedback, because that it's all so true. So then the 9 to 3, the kids are gone. There's no excuses, right? This is our time to get stuff done. And maybe it looks a little different. Maybe you only have 2-3 hours, especially if you've got more littles and it's only a couple days a week. Again, it's not so much exactly how much time it is, but whatever that time frame is, be hyper intentional with how you're spending it. Make that your business time. It does not matter if it's 1, 2, 5 hours. Make that your business time. Be very intentional with how you're spending it. And we're going to show you next on like how to actually budget that all in there. And then the after is if I didn't get something done in my morning routine, right? I've got something in there I'm trying to accomplish. Then fit that in the end. If you're more that night person, great. Make those things, just get everything in throughout the day and be very intentional, schedule it out, because then if you have all this open time, it will get filled with doom scrolling or running around with the kids or whatever, right? Anything that we're not planning for. So it could be that family dinner. It doesn't matter. You can fill each of these time slots, but the point is to just be intentional. Anything you wanted to add before we moved on to the calendar?
That's kind of too, okay, when you're looking at this, we're pretty opposite, you and I.
Yeah.
On this, like, you're up at
6 a.m.
She'll text me at
morning.
6 a.m.
Yeah.
She knows she's not getting an answer till 8:30.
Yeah.
Like, it's very normal for me now. Like, I don't get up till like 8:30, but I still do my same things. They're just later in the day. So I'm kind of like Nicole, like I'm really not ready to go to start working until like 10:30 at this point in my life. And I'm happy with it because like last night, like we worked together till like 10, but either way, normally she's done working before I am every night, but she's up working she's ready to go at 8 o'clock. I'm 2 hours behind her, so our days are just shifted a little differently.
Yeah.
So it is just, these are times that we look at that would make sense, but everybody's going to be a little bit different, right? Like if you're a morning person, it's going to be earlier and you're going to get done earlier. If you're a night person, you're probably going to start a little later. Like you just have to give yourself some grace, I think.
Yeah. Just be intentional. Okay, so moving on to the next one. The best advice we can give you is to live by your calendar. So if we're saying yes to all the things, we are making all of it happen. Live by your calendar, because then as you do get busier, you get more intentional, you're filling your calendar and time with things. You will forget if it's not on your calendar, and you're going to end up double booking yourself. You're going to miss an appointment. The amount of realtors that I know and I've worked with, because I've onboarded a lot of brand new realtors in my days, that do not use calendars and then have missed showings or listing appointments, makes me want to scream. You guys, like, I know the 3 of you ladies have probably never done this, and bless you, but the amount of realtors that have it's not, and if you are that person that just is not naturally super organized, I promise you it's not coming from judgment, it's love. You gotta live by your calendar, because the fact that I have seen multiple people miss appointments, that's money and that's client experience. And you're not just representing like you, the person, but you're representing a brand, and then the name gets out there. This world is small, and you cannot have that perception out there that you're just missing appointments. And then that also just subconsciously is going to make an impact on you and your business. So don't let that happen. Whatever you do, live by a calendar. And we're going to give you lots of tips on how to do that, because that is our world. Truly, that is the only way that we can accomplish what we do and do all of the things. It's by a calendar. So sometimes this stresses people out a little bit. But this was my calendar last week, and I thought it was a perfect example of how, like, there's almost every single aspect in this exact week for me. And I just time blocked. You can look at my calendar, which actually then I also included my annual plan in here for you guys. But I have this behind me at my desk. My annual calendar is in my face every single day, and it is a whiteboard one, which you can then just, as soon as the month is done, like this July that's on here, that's already July 2025. So the moment that month is over, I'm already looking ahead to the next month, and I'm going to make sure that on an annual basis, I have one fun thing planned a quarter, because I'm motivated by fun things. So I always need something to look forward to. And that's how, if I'm in a grind season, I'm like, okay, I just got to make it till October, because then I've got 2 trips. One's for business, one is for fun. Just make it to October. Just make it to October, right? And so if I'm in a grind, I can look forward to those fun things. But if you're not planned that far ahead, then you're going to feel that burnout, and you get frustrated, and like, we don't know what fun we're looking to. We don't know why are we even grinding this hard, right? Because I don't have anything fun planned. So if you're intentional about that, but then another reason is then I know what opportunities I can say yes to. And I could tell you an entire year ahead if I can say yes or not. And that just comes with like a whole nother level of professionalism and this perception that like, wow, yeah, Marisa is super organized, right? And it just has this like impressiveness to it anytime I'm having a conversation with someone. So if there's an event like Nicole and Nikki, they do their level up. They were looking at a date, and if you can see it, it's already on my calendar here. So I put it on there, even though it's 9 some months away. But then I want to start looking, okay, a quarter ahead, what do we need to be thinking about? The last quarter of this year, what do we need to be thinking about? So it's being hyper intentional with my time and making sure that I'm well balanced and I know what I can say yes to. And if I'm already like my October, November, that looks pretty dang full. Unless it's something virtual or like a half-day thing, I'm probably not going to take it on, because otherwise my day-to-day routine is not going to get done. So that I take it back all the way from the year, and I'm looking at my year in advance. Then I'm using my Google Calendar to do my day-to-day, my week, my month, like that type of thing. And then I even go as far, which Brooke uses Monday.com, and I'll let her speak more to that. And we put all of our clients on Monday.com because it is so like on the go friendly. I'm one that needs, like, I'm on the go too much and I'm hopping around to other people's offices. And I'm also a written girl. Like, I love to journal. I love having it in front of me. I will have 7,000 notebooks. Like, I'm an aesthetic person. So I like my multiple color pens. I like my journals to be cute. Like, that's my style. Brooke likes having it all in Monday and having it as like a virtual option and stuff she can just move around and share with people and then like dump stuff into. So I've got like my day-to-day handwritten checklist of stuff that I need to make sure that I'm accomplishing. So it goes from the year and being intentional that far out to the month and week being in the Google Calendar. And that's where we're going to talk about time blocking, to then something that's the day-to-day tasks. It's your projects. It's looking ahead at things. It's, do I need to pay this bill? Who do I need to follow up with? Right? So it's the day-to-day things. So that can be anything from your CRM and smart lists and automation there telling me who I'm supposed to call today, to written out, what am I working on? I want to add a new texting campaign. I want to work on my email newsletter. I want to update my headshot on my website, right? All the little tasks. You can do it virtually. We'll make system recommendations that way. Or if you're a written girl, then great. Pull out a notebook and do it in a writing. There's no right, wrong answer. It's whatever works for you. Just do something. So you should be looking ahead your year. You should be looking, and time blocking, we'll talk time blocking next. You should be looking at your month and week in a time blocking fashion. And then you need something for your project and task management. So that's the 3 layers of it. Nicole, did you want to add something on that?
No, I'm over here on Amazon finding that year calendar right now.
Okay.
It's in my cart right now.
That's awesome. No, that's my favorite one. I can send you the link if you can't find this one.
Oh, I found it.
Okay. Yeah, I love that one. And then wet erase markers, which I did not know. So my backstory is I'm an elementary teacher, And so I did not know that like wet erase markers were not a known thing. Well, the last 4 or 5 people that I've talked to about wet erase markers are like, what does that mean? It's like
They're the
dry
best.
erase, like
They're
what,
so good.
what? And I'm like, so the difference between dry erase and wet erase, in case anyone else did not know this, which is totally fine if you didn't, it just blew my mind that it was not common knowledge. But wet erase, you need an actual, like, it needs to be wet to erase it. And then on this calendar, when I'm writing out my months, I'm not sitting there smudging everything or having to like hold my pen like this to write on it. And then it looks ugly. Because again, I'm an aesthetic girl. So I need all my different colors. I need my numbers to be the same. I need it to be cute and organized, or it doesn't work for my brain. So wet erase is the game changer. If you have not heard of that before, order those on Amazon too, because that will make things nice and clean and pretty for you.
Never heard of them in my life, and they're in my cart right now.
I love it. I love it. Fine tip wet erase. That's gonna make you so happy.
I think you should talk about your different colors.
The different colors here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go to any questions on annual planning before we move on to time blocking. Does that all make sense on a high level, like planning out that year, looking at making business and personal and having something fun, being intentional with your time? Okay, cool. Let's move on to time blocking. So looking at, this is just 1 week of my calendar, but I've got everything from key exchanges planned out here. So I still do real estate too. I've got my personal time with my friends. I was in a wedding here and planned all of that out, picking up my dresses. Literally, I'm putting showering in my calendar, you guys, like everything, plan for everything. Because I knew I needed to wash my hair on Friday so that it would be dry by Saturday morning at 6 a.m. for my hair appointment for the wedding that I was standing in. I think that detailed about my calendar, which is probably not
She's
normal,
a little excessive.
probably not normal. But then when I have 17 things I'm trying to accomplish this day, I'm intentional and it's all in there and I'm not stressed. I know exactly what I'm doing and when, and I can do it all. And I do it all. I don't want to say like with ease, like it's like a cocky thing, because it's not, but I truly don't get stressed about my time. I just think ahead, and I'm very intentional with blocking it off on my calendar to make sure I can do it all. So literally putting showering on my calendar, guys. It's that silly. And then the time that I'm spending with my clients to make sure that I am going above and beyond, blocking in time for them. And Nicole, I'm going to make sure I come back to your point about like showings and things like that. And then any masterminds or things I'm on, and then you'll see these green ones are my husband, because I want to make sure that anything that I'm planning around with him, which this isn't a super great example of like planning things with him, but we'll put like a date night on there, or if he's got a work event, or he's doing something with a friend and he's not going to be home for dinner or something, right? He will put it, we have a shared calendar on Google, and we'll show you how to do that too. And we just sync them. So then he can always know what's going on with me. And if I'm not going to be home for dinner because I've got a key exchange at 7 o'clock, we just naturally aren't like, I don't want to tell him to, right? Like, I just want to just move on and like do the things. I just want to do it all. I've already planned it. We're not awesome at saying like, hey, all right, see you at 9 o'clock tonight. Like, that's not my strength as a wife. But I planned it out. And like 2 weeks ago, I knew I was going to have this key exchange and it's on my calendar. So he just has my calendar and that's how we communicate. And that works really well for us. If you're one that texts about it too, awesome. I can't speak to that. I live by my calendar. So everything in here, he puts his stuff, I put my stuff, and then we just share. And then it's even like my personal thing. So like I go every 2 weeks and I get my nails done with my grandma. That's one of my non-negotiables. We run errands, I help her out, and we get our nails done. That's our special little treat day. Every 2 weeks, it's a non-negotiable for me. Does it always happen at Tuesday morning? No, I'm going to fit it in wherever it fits around my schedule, but every 2 weeks, it's a non-negotiable. So, and I can know that because I'm planning out my business. And if I have to move it, okay, I'm going to look for where else does it fit and make it happen. Calls with clients, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm putting it all in here. Interviews, which the little other tip I'll show you guys is I will block, so like keep open for interviews is what this one on Friday morning says, 9 to 11. So keep open for interviews. And then once I actually booked the interviews, I put them on top of it. So that way I knew I was working with a client and helping him hire a new marketing manager. So I put 9 to 11 on both of our calendars, like a week and a half before this. And I said, here's where I'm going to book these interviews. Don't plan for anything else. And then when I actually booked the interviews, then I just put those on top of it. So I'm not double booking myself. I'm being intentional with this time. And then we didn't even end up having someone in this slot. So great. I got an extra half an hour back to my day, but I planned for this time to be used. And then he's not double booking himself. And like, oh shoot, I can't start until 11 now. And well, I am already booked at 11. So put it on everyone's calendar, invite people. And Nicole, here's my tip for you with the showings, right? Because stuff comes up sometimes on Sundays, then you have to go and do a showing instead of hanging out with your family. Well, I'm putting my family time on here, or I'm putting my friend time on here. And then I know when I'm talking to, let's pretend, Nicole, that you're my client and I showed you today. Today at our showings, then I'm going to look at my weekend coming up, because today's only what, Wednesday, Tuesday? I don't even know what day it is. Tuesday. So today's Tuesday. I showed you tonight some houses. On tonight, I'm going to say, hey, Nicole, let's look at this weekend and see when another opportunity is that we want to schedule some showings for, and let's put it on the calendar so that way I make sure I'm available for you and that it works out for your schedule too. Then I'm going to put 2 or 3 hours on my calendar for whatever works for that client. And then anything that comes up between now and that weekend appointment, it's going in that time block. So very similar to how I did this interview one, I'm going to put Nicole's showings at Saturday at 2 to 5 p.m. or whatever it is, because that works for my calendar. It also works for my client's calendar. And then they're not expecting me to be a Pop-Tart agent and go show them tonight, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, we're going to go see everything all at once on Saturday in our 3-hour time block when that fits for me around everything else. But they think it's a good experience too. That's the difference. They're planning for something. They don't want to necessarily be popping and spending every single evening this week. They got kids too. They've got lives too. They've got work, and it adds stress to them. So let's make sure we're intentional and we're setting that good experience. It's win-win. And then I also know, how is my business looking? Do I have 2 nights a week that are still open and I could pick up a showing for someone else? Or is my calendar full right now and I need to give everything off to referrals or a buyer's agent or whatever, right? And of course, please hear me when I say this. I know there's exceptions to every rule. If a $1 million buyer calls us, I'm giving up grandma, and grandma's going to move to Thursday morning and I'm going to go show that $1 million client, right? But that doesn't mean that I don't still make grandma happen. I fit her into another block. And that doesn't mean that I don't still show up for my family or I still attend XYZ. I might flip it, right? Or, right, we get a little creative with the clients. You know what? It looks like 5 o'clock. There's already a showing going on because 5 o'clock's my family dinner time, but they do have 6:30 available. Does that still work for you? And we just spin it and we flip it to what works for our calendar and we put them in there. So there's exceptions, but then there's ways to flip it. But if you're always scheduling that next showing time with them, and then if they want to see one house, awesome. I got 3 hours back to my weekend because it only took me a half an hour instead of the 4 hours I had blocked. Or awesome. I love your cat, Nicole. Just
every time every time we're on these Zooms, this is his like cuddle time. Like, and he wants to be in my face the whole time.
So funny. But that's how you can be really intentional, and it sets a good experience for them too, is always be booking out that next showing time with them. And if you don't use it, great. You call them back up and say, hey, I know we didn't end up finding anything that you want to go and see this weekend. How about we schedule another time for Wednesday or Thursday this week? Is 4 o'clock Wednesday or 7 o'clock Thursday better for you? Or noon on Friday? Which one's better? What fits for your schedule? Let's get that on there. And then same thing, right? Because then it fits for my schedule and I can plan around it. And I know how full I am. Do I have more capacity? Do I want to take more on? So that's where that time blocking really comes in and makes a big difference. Brooke, what am I missing? What did you want to add?
I think so, for example, like her Friday, obviously, like she included like showering, picking up her dresses, all that stuff. So for example, something I do, because a lot of the times I have to work on multiple projects throughout a day, and it's really hard to get started on something and then just not finish it, or just quit halfway through and then you don't feel like you accomplished something. So again, kind of like Julie had mentioned, when you're really busy, you tend to get more done. So I like my day to look really scary on my calendar sometimes. So even if I don't have everything planned out ahead, I'll wake up in the morning and be like, okay, I'm going to block my calendar now for my day. So, okay, I didn't get started today till 10. So 10 to 11, I'm going to work on my buyer's guide and rebranding it. And then from 11 to 12, I have a meeting. And then from 12 to 1, I'm going to eat lunch and I get to scroll. And then from 1 to 2, I have this. Like, I like to block all the things I need to get done that are on my task list into my full day. And then literally my phone, because I have the Google Calendar app, tells me 10 minutes before it's time to do the next thing. So it's like, okay, I better start wrapping up, leaving off on a mark here. Like, but I know each project that I worked on got an hour's worth of work. And I feel like I accomplished something. And then same thing, dinner, whatever it is. And then to like my non-negotiables, like I have girls' night every Thursday. It's just, it happens. It's something I promised my friends I would do. So 5 o'clock, I have to leave the office because I have to go. I got to be there by 7. That's happening. And then sometimes like I literally will leave girls' night early because I'm like, yeah, I didn't finish that earlier. Like I have to be home by 9:30 tonight because I still have to go work. And that it is what it is, right? But it's fitting everything into your calendar. And I really do think it makes a difference when you're actually prompted on your phone to go do something else. Because if not, I'm the same way. If there's nothing in my calendar, I'm going to sit on my phone and go on Instagram. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, dinner at Aurora. I just went there the other day. So good.
It was good. So we actually did end up going to Aurora. They changed plans last minute. So we went for an anniversary to Aurora and it was really good. That was fun. And like, it's very vibey in there. So if you haven't been, it's on Woodward somewhere in like West Bloomfield. Aurora was good.
It was very good.
Nice.
All right. Next up.
What was that, Nicole?
I said, what's next? What else you got for it?
Got it. Yes. Okay. So do we want to flip and show you how to create multiple calendars or share calendars, or are we good on that? That was our one thing that we can either like add or not add depending on the desire.
We're pretty much at the end.
Okay,
I mean,
okay.
we'd have time to do that if we wanted to. The rest of our
Sure.
stuff's quick.
Okay, we can, because we already kind of talked time blocking.
Yeah.
So I'll flip to that really quick. And then, so in Google Calendar, you guys can see on the left here, I already have multiple calendars in here.
Show them you actually don't share this calendar with me.
Oh, okay. So,
and I want it.
And you want my calendar. So if I wanted to share my calendar with Brooke, so then Brooke knows what I'm doing throughout the day. Maybe you have an assistant, admin, husband, spouse, partner, whatever, right? You can then come to your existing calendar, hit the little buttons here, settings and sharing. And then all you have to do, which you can also make any edits here if you need to, but all you have to do is add to people here and share it with them. And you can also have a link. So like if you had a training calendar for your team or your organization or a family calendar that you wanted to share, you can also do a shareable link. And then all they see are the event details or even just that it's busy, which that doesn't work for most people. But usually the details for like a training calendar or a family calendar. So then you can just get this shareable link and either put it as a part of your onboarding process, share it with your family, whatever the case may be, and then they can just add it to their calendar really easily like that. Or you can come in and manually add people. So I'm going to add Brooke.
So
and then
I would even okay, so this is a good example. So I have a group calendar for my friends too, which would be like a family calendar, right? My friends are my family. It's very weird. But you can actually make changes and manage the sharing if you set it up like that. So if you did create a family calendar, that would be like if you guys plan like you're going to go to the cider mill, you're going to go to a family dinner, anybody can add to it. So like if you want something to show up on everyone's calendar, on a family calendar, you would share it so they can make changes and manage sharing.
I'm just going to make it where Brooke can then change my event. So she can invite me to it. She can edit a time on my stuff if she needs to. She can move it on my calendar. So I'm going to give her those privileges. But if you were just doing like a team training calendar or something like that, I'd probably just see all event details because you don't want everyone being able to control your calendar. So those would be like the common ones and why you would do the differences on that. And then this was the notifications that Brooke was talking about. So the standard is 10 minutes, but if you're someone like I recommended for that agent who missed 2 listing appointments because he doesn't use his calendar, I told him, come in here and put in 60 minutes and then another notification at 30 minutes and then another one at 10 minutes. But you can build in more reminders right for each event in your calendar. And then that way it gives you more of a heads up and you're more likely to see those things. So if the calendar and organization is not your natural strong suits, maybe come in and add extra notifications for yourself. And then you can do some other sharing and
Daily
stuff and
agendas, yeah.
whatever all in here, but that's the main thing that you want to do. And then if you wanted to create a new calendar, it's the other calendars and then creating new. This is how like I could try and subscribe to Nicole's calendar, right? So she's a Google based, I could search her calendar and then she would have to either add me or whatever from there. So I can just subscribe to other people's, but to create a new one, maybe I call it my family calendar or whatever it is, and then just creates a calendar. It's very easy and it just shows up on the left. And
You
then,
can change the color.
so now this is a choice, and then I can just say I want on my family calendar, so that's my orange calendar, blah, blah, blah event, right? So then now that's on my calendar and it's time blocked in there. And then I can hide it if I'm looking for work stuff or whatever, I can hide and turn on whatever I want. And then same for the time blocking. So maybe you want to time block out where your time blocks, I want it on my Marisa calendar, but I want all of my time blocks to be yellow. Brooke likes to color code things. So you can put a yellow time block on here for anything that's time block, and then you fill it in with your normal blue bubbles once it's confirmed.
You can also see here on the left, I actually look at this, but it kind of shows you like how much time you're
How you're
spending on
spending your
each
day.
thing. So if I notice that my work calendar is really large, I'm like, oh God, I should probably like plan a dinner, like, or whatever, you know? Same thing, like I make my Sundays very intentional, like I go to church every Sunday, but like I bring my friends with me and then we just go to lunch after, and then I might have to go to showings. But I feel like I kind of get to do duo time, right? Like it's my personal time because I went to church, but I spent it with my friends. We went to a quick lunch and now I'm gonna go work. Like I touched every little point in my life for the day. So, but color coding is really nice because you can look at it and it's like, ooh, I look balanced, right?
Well,
So
I saw somebody, I watched a video, or maybe we had somebody on here once before who did time blocking, and she did like everything green was money making activities.
Yeah.
And then like family was one color, admin work was another color. I just thought it was really smart. I mean, I'm not that organized, but I thought that was very smart.
I mean, just starting in general with one calendar and like getting your day blocked out. And then two, being able to eventually have other calendars or color coding things.
Yeah.
So you can see like Nicole, like you want that time with your friends and your boyfriend, like you look at your calendar, you're like, oh wow, I should probably like, I got to figure that out. Like the color coding kind of helps when you want to look at it that way, but just starting using the calendar is
Right.
the best first step
Right.
because it comes with time. She's actually the one who got me into it like a year ago. And ever since then, like my friends know too, like I have to look at my calendar before I say yes to anything. So it's a good thing to live by. And as you keep using it, the better you'll get and the more you can intentionally plan everything.
Yeah, color coding does not happen on day one.
No.
That is more like a year
A
or
year.
so into playing with the calendars, getting more organized. Because then it helps visual. And as salespeople, we're typically pretty visual and aesthetic people. So then it helps for like quick snapshots. And that's why I like my color coding on my annual, because then I can easily see, ooh, there's no purple. I need to plan something fun. I have nothing fun coming up next quarter. So that's where like the visualization comes in, and probably what she was speaking to as well. So the color coding is nice for that, but just start using these things and blocking the time in. And that's really the best first step. We kind of already went over this. We were just having some suggestions for other time blocking. And then another little idea that we had was to be a good salesperson, we have to be a good systems person first. Because just like we talked about with the showings, like we can't show up for our family, our clients, our business if we're not taking care of ourselves. So we have to be organized. We need these systems. We need a process to be able to show up as a good salesperson. So your systems do matter, and it feels silly. Like we always joke that like sometimes it's hard to get salespeople to realize that like the systems do matter so much, but that's the real key ticket to being a good salesperson, is to have good systems behind you. You don't have to spend all day, every day on it or be a nerd on it like we are, but you do need them to support you. And so we wanted to share with you guys today, this is just our little freebie. It's all of our favorite tech stack. And I'm actually, after hearing you download that, Nicole, I'm going to add my annual calendar to this freebie so people can have that as their download too. But this is all my favorite things for technology and systems. And then I put in a bunch of campaigns for suggestions too, just to make life easier. And I think that is all really had. Did I miss anything? Anything you wanted to add?
I don't think so.
Okay, awesome. Did everyone get this that wanted to? I can stop sharing. Okay, I think that's all we got. We have any questions or anything from you ladies to add?
I don't
No,
think
that
so.
was-
I mean,
Yeah, that was good.
I think that was, yeah, all good stuff. Sorry, my cat is playing with this like ball toy behind me that he never wants to touch until again, I'm on a Zoom call. He never touches it. I just threw my purse on it, so now he can't get to it. Anyway, no, I think this was really, I lied. Hold on a second. Nikki talk.
So I'm gonna buy that calendar because I think it would just be nice just as a family to see what everybody has going on at one glance. And I need to get better at color coding my calendar. That'd be
Yeah,
important.
I think that calendar is super helpful because, you know, like one thing that I told Marissa and Nikki, you and I have talked about this. So last year I didn't do a client event because I failed to prepare, because I failed to put in my calendar, hey, create the graphic for this. Make sure you send it out. All I did was I had in my calendar, send out reminder for a client event. And I got that reminder the day of, and I was like, oh my God, I never even scheduled it. So
Yeah.
it's like, I think I need to have that in my calendar to prep. Like, you know, we all love the ideas of like the pop-bys and the client events and all this stuff. But if we're not actually preparing ourselves for that and planning ahead, we're never going to do any of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having us on again. We're always happy to be here. And if anyone ever has questions for us in the future, they can find us. The best place is probably Instagram. That's where we engage and are usually very, very quick to respond and stuff on Instagram. It's Areyou Consulting or it's not a .com, but I'll just put it in the chat real quick. Consulting, but that's also our website, areyouconsulting.com. So that is the best place to find us. If you ever have more questions or you want extra links for things, come find us there.
Thank
Thanks for having us.
you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited for the calendar. I've already ordered it. I got my wet
Nice.
erase markers, which was like that is one thing that drives me absolutely insane is that I'm constantly smearing things.
Yep.
So I'm glad that you introduced me to that. See, like
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
it's the little nuggets of stuff here. I love it.
It is. And it's fun and it's aesthetic and it works for our brain and it helps us. So I love that.
Yes. Well, thank you so
Yay.
much. We're excited. Brooke, who do we have on next week? We have Austin Chevron on, don't we, next week for Modern Agent Blueprint? Yep. So
Yep.
he's going to be talking about
Nice,
wealth
that's a good one.
and all the good stuff, money, which is what we all need at the end of the day. So join us next
Yeah.
week for another Modern Agent Blueprint, and we will see you guys all next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.